Hi, my name is Ethan Lee, and I have my partner with me.
Eldon.
And today we have Al from Hawaii Ocean Ambassadors. And Al, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your organization and what you guys do?
Sure, for sure. So again, thanks for the interest. I founded Hawaii Ocean Ambassadors back in 2016. I was also the chairman of Parks and Recreation for the Kailua Neighborhood Board. And basically the genesis of it was, obviously all up and down the windward coast of Oahu, we were seeing ocean plastic come in on a daily basis with every tide line. And so what Hawaii Ocean Ambassadors has done is over the past 7 years is we've done beach cleanups stretching from Kahuku all the way down to Waimanalo. We do several beach cleanups per week, actually, so we're out there all the time. A lot of different civic groups join us. We've had high school groups out, even middle schools. Kailua Intermediate has been out with us a bunch. And so we're trying to do a couple of things. We're trying to improve the health of our nearshore reefs by doing these cleanups. We're also trying to educate the public on single-use plastic and why you should be using alternatives. And we think obviously there's no better way to do that than to actually get people out there, get their hands dirty, have them see the problem themselves. And then as a result of that, we also have been advocating for ocean healthy legislation. So we've worked with state senators like Chris Lee, state house representatives like Scott Matayoshi. We were sort of instrumental in helping Bill 40 get passed to reduce single-use plastics on Oahu at a government level. We also supported the sunscreen legislation that blocked oxybenzone sales in the state of Hawaii. And so sort of a multifaceted approach, but we take a hands-on approach to trying to solve this larger problem.
Okay. So let's start off with when did you decide to create your foundation or like what made you create it?
Yeah, for sure. So sort of going along with what we were saying, it was kind of interesting. I to be funny about this, I've sort of got ADD. So when I'd go to the Friends with My Beach, I'd always take a bucket because I couldn't just sit there in the sun. And I said, if I'm gonna be out here anyway, I might as well be doing something good.
Yeah.
And then as I started just doing these cleanups, a lot of my friends would see that and they'd say, hey man, we want to join you. When's the next time you're going out? And over time, that group was growing larger and larger. And most of my cleanups started getting to the point they were like 25 to 50 people. And we were doing these big Saturday cleanups that we called East Side Sweeps, where we were cleaning Waimanalo Beach in the morning, going up to Kailua in the afternoon, and like finishing maybe at Kahana Bay. And so people were spending like their whole day with us, and we said, let's turn this into a real organization. And then once we create the nonprofit, we'll be able to actually sort of reach out to our state representatives and seek their input on what we're trying to do. Whereas if you're just out there as one person, it's a little bit harder to galvanize that, city and county or state support. So that was the birth of Hawaii Ocean Ambassadors.
Oh, okay, that's great. And like, how do you feel about the current state of our beaches and like the pollution? Like, do you think it's getting better, staying the same, or like getting worse?
Yeah, so that's another good question. I think that there are more and more people that are out there cleaning the beaches over even the last 7 years. Sustainable Coastlines was always out there. 808 Cleanups was doing a good job, but you had sort of like these die-hard people that were going out weekend after weekend, and I do think that made something of an impact because by Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the beaches would be a lot cleaner. A lot of the larger items, the ghost nets, the big stuff would be pulled off. And obviously that's the stuff that's damaging the reef the most. So you get, a 2,000-pound ghost net coming across, being dragged across the reef. It's going to rip off coral polyps. It's going to entangle monk seals and whales. So I do think on that kind of stuff, there's been a big impact. I don't think we're really making too much of a dent in the microplastic problem. I think that continues to wash up. There's so much plastic in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch that it's a problem. But I do think we're getting better locally so that we're having less of our own garbage on Oahu go down our rivers and into the ocean. When you go to like the river mouth at Kahana Bay, for example, over the last 7 years, I've seen personally that there is less rubbish sort of making its way from our Aina out into our water. But I don't think we're even cracking or making a dent in the large problem, which is out there in the ocean.
Yeah.
Interesting. Other than cleanups, what are other ways we could stop pollution, ocean pollution?
Yeah, I think it always starts at the source. And this kind of comes back to the idea that, Bill 40, for example, that was a city level bill that got passed, I believe, 2 years ago. Time's flying past and pandemic has warped how I think about time. But we had banned, straws and plastic cutlery, plastic water bottles at all city and state functions. And so these are the type of things where, you see the problem, you go out, work on it, and you advocate for a solution that is a legislative solution. And that's another way that we can support making this problem sort of a more communal fix and less just, I'm a diehard that's not going to use a straw. How much does that really do? But if we advocate for ocean saving legislation, I think it makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's great. And do you think like you've made an impact on not only like trying to improve the pollution, but also like amongst the community, like trying to get people to come out and like help you guys ever since you started your foundation?
Yeah, I think that's probably like the best thing that we've done. So this is another funny way to put something, but I would say beach cleanups are kind of like a gateway drug to taking a more active role in your community. So I would describe it like this: we'll have these beach cleanups, and we'll say, the Kailua Neighborhood Board will come out and be a sponsor of a cleanup, and we'll say, have the opportunity for our representatives to be there to talk to people, and all of these other issues come up while you're out there doing these civic engagement opportunities. So we're cleaning the beach, but somebody mentions, hey, there's a lot of brown water and we have no signage on the beach when there's brown water, but if you go down to Waikiki, there's signage every time there's brown water. So I think just by being out there, being civically engaged, volunteering, this sort of it plants a root or plants a seed that then grows into even better change and more things. So I'd like to think that the best thing that Hawaii Ocean Ambassadors does is not only just clean that plastic off the beach, but it raises awareness that if you see a problem, you yourself can go and fix it. And I think it's really empowering while also creating a sense of community.
Got it. All right. This is our last question. What, like, how have you raised awareness and how have you got your word out to people? What are ways you've
Yeah,
done that?
sure. So I think largely social media has been a big thing for us. In addition to social media, I've been on the news a number of times on KHON, also on
Oh,
Hawaii News Now, and so I think that's a good way to get the message out. But I think at the end of the day, it's just personal example. If you go out to the North Shore on a Saturday and you're cleaning, you'll see so many people who just went there to chill get up and
yeah.
be like, hey brother, do you mind if I help out? And you're like, no, no, of course, come on over. So in a large part, I think it's just setting an example, and that's the best way to get word out. Like, you go do something yourself and you don't just talk about it, but you do it, and that's going to drive other people to join you.
Okay, that's great. And sorry, just one last question. Like how when you say you conduct these like beach cleanups, do you yourself also attend them? And like how often do you attend them?
Sure. So, I basically attend all of them. I'm sort of a diehard for this. I'm currently off island, so I've been in San Diego the
Oh,
past couple months, which has been unfortunate for me because like my addiction is cleaning the beach, and we don't get a lot of ocean plastic here in San Diego. But I will be back in Hawaii soon. But I like to lead these. I also have a few friends, Kalei Ellers, who runs now Duke's charitable department, Duke's restaurant. She's my assistant at Hawaii Ocean Ambassadors. And so Kalei has been great. She still hosts cleanups all the time. But we like to get out there because in addition to just holding the cleanup, showing up with buckets and sand sifters for everybody, we like to also try to educate people a little bit on the types of things we're finding, whether it's, oyster spacers or fish traps or ghost nets. And we like to provide a little context for them. So where, Sustainable Coastlines, Kahi Picaro is a good friend of mine. He's the man. They host one like a quarter that's really, really big. They get a live band out and things. We like to focus on sort of smaller, just iterative ones. Like, let's get out there all the time. It doesn't have to be a huge group, 15 to 20 people. You're making a big impact no matter what. And so that's kind of our focus, is to be there hands-on. Yeah.
okay, well that's great. Well, yeah, thank you so much, Al. Yeah, we came to the end of our interview, and yeah, you provided us with great information. And yeah, thank you so much for your time.